So what I wanted to do is a little bit of a continuation of my aloes. Um, my last video, I had to cut it a little short. I realized that I had framed it incorrectly, and therefore some of these were not in focus. I had a lot to say, and the video became very long at that point. But also, you really couldn't get a good look at these aloe within the setting that I was providing, and so I just decided to cut that footage out. So what I want to talk about today is the fez aloe. One of the things I was pointing out with this particular aloe was how it has farina on the leaves, unlike most of the other aloe that I have seen. I got this at Mountain Crest Gardens, and what I've noticed is as the leaves open up, you can see some of the scratches where the spines on the leaf are rubbing off the farina. I thought that was really fascinating. Also, it's worth mentioning that this is a very sharp aloe, and at one point I grabbed it in a inconsiderate way, and it stuck me, and it did actually draw blood. So there is that. I don't usually like plants that are dangerous like this, but this one is fascinating, and to watch it grow and change has been really exciting. Especially watching new leaves pop out and how those leaves interact even within itself. Someday I hope that it will have baby plants, but for now it isn't. But it has new leaves, and it looks so much better even than when I first got it. So this is an exciting plant to own. Next to that is my aloe coral. This is a plant that I did not actually think would survive because of the shape and texture of these leaves. They're very different from any other aloe that I've ever seen, in the sense that they look like, it doesn't look like an aloe to me. And however, the way that it's growing is very reminiscent of sort of how Gasteria grow. They're growing in a line and just up and up in sort of a zigzag manner, without having any kind of rosette to them. It's not in a well-draining pot, unfortunately, but it is well-draining soil, and it is terracotta. So I think all of these things together has allowed it to grow. I like how the leaves are kind of striped, and they're really kind of fleshier. They got little tiny teeth on the edges, and they have some stressing on the tips, which I find really, really pretty. And I think that that's stressing and not actual browning, because it doesn't feel like crispy or anything like that. And the new leaves on the center have just like a tiny, tiny bit of that color as well. So you see they come out all green, the tips maybe are getting a lot more of the light, and it's turning some interesting colors. So this is a really pretty plant. This is an aloe night sky. I do have some young versions of this as well. This is also a very unique aloe in the sense that it has some very strange looking, very fleshy leaves, which would kind of lead one to believe this could succumb to overwatering. I only water my aloes once a week. They seem to be doing very well on that schedule, so I'm not really concerned anymore. And I noticed that this has babies growing underneath. Let me see if I can tip it a little, and you can see the babies. So it's happy. It's growing. Some of the older leaves turned kind of orange and probably will be lost eventually, but all the internal growth and most of the growth is very green, and I love that it's speckled. And so when I first bought it, it was very green and speckled, but it's lightened up under the plant lights. And even though this doesn't have as much light as some of my other plants, it's still significant for it. This is my aloe oik, or oik. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I had seen this in the stores and I'm attracted to it, but it wasn't a priority. I did eventually buy one, and I like how the teeth on it are very pronounced and how they are such a pretty pink color. If you know me at all, you'll know I'm very attracted to pink plants. So I think this might have been this color originally, but it's definitely intensified under the plant lights. So this is exciting. Um, it does have new leaves in the center, so it's doing really well with the care that it's receiving. The OIK had additional plants in the pot that were big enough I felt that I could move them to their own pot. I didn't put them individual. It does feel to me like this is anecdotal only, so don't take this as truth necessarily. But what I've noticed is that when aloes are in a pot together, they seem to do well. They're kind of a clumping type of plant, and I don't know whether it's they like the competition, they like the company. So I do, if I can, I have at least 2 in a pot. I have a couple that are singular in a pot as youngsters, and they seem to just take a very long time to grow. And it may just be that, you know, we know that aloe and succulents are slow growing. So it could, like I said, this is anecdotal. It may not even be true. But they do look very pretty together, and it's kind of nice to keep the siblings together in the same pot. And then this plant is my aloe Christmas sleigh. This is a very prolific plant. I have so many of them now. I lost one of them to aloe mite, which was tragic, but I have so many that I've even given them away on occasion because there's just such prolific plant. We've even got a little baby coming out here already. Oh, we got 2, so there's another one under here. One of the things to note with this plant is that when it's not getting a lot of light, it is a very much lighter green with kind of reddish teeth. I'm going to call them teeth. I'm sure that's not what they're called, and I'll do some research later and figure out what they're actually called. But under the lights, it's turned this really dark, almost reddish green with the reddish teeth. So this is my aloe gold tooth. I really like this plant because it has a very compact growth habit. It's even got a baby growing in that has also a very compact growth habit. I'm not entirely sure why it's called a gold tooth. I don't see any gold on it. It also was a lighter green, of course, before I put it under the lights. I love how it's kind of blushed, this burgundy color. So it's just, I don't have a lot to say about it except that it's just pretty, and it's just compact, and it's different. And I think the goal as a plant keeper is to not have all the same plant, but have things that look different and special in a certain way. And I really think this one is growing in a very special way, in a very special color. This was not labeled. I do believe it's an aloe hybrid. It reminds me very much of the Night Sky Mama, except that it's a little stickier. So these look like they're going to be soft, but when I touch them, actually they're very pointy. So this could be painful if one day I grab it in a very inconsiderate way. I might actually draw blood on myself as well. I like the way the leaves are, how they're not the really thin leaves, they're kind of thicker leaves. I did lose like 1 leaf, but overall it's been growing very well, and I think it's a really nice addition to this collection, even though I don't know exactly what it is. And usually I like to know the name of it so I can put it in my app and I can keep track of it, and I can brag about it, and oh, this is such and such a plant. But it's I'm finding that as I'm getting older into the hobby, it's okay. It's okay not to know. And if I later down the line find out, I'll be just as happy. But the important part is it looks like it's a happy plant, and and we're gonna live cordially together, and I'll try not to grab it in an inconsiderate way, so maybe it doesn't draw blood. This is an AJR, an Aloe AJR. It feels to me like that's an acronym. I'm not sure. This is a chaotic aloe, but so intriguing. The color is an amazing color under these lights. It reminds me kind of the color of the Christmas sleigh, but the leaves are a different shape. They kind of stick out willy-nilly every which way. And most of the time, what you'll find is that I don't like chaotic plants, but this is chaotic in kind of a symmetrical way, if that makes any sense. It's going in every direction, but it yet has a certain form that you can definitely tell. You know, this is an aloe, and it's just a different aloe. Now, one of the things about this plant is that the root system when I bought it was not extensive. So it's in a pot that seems relatively small for the size of the plant, but I think it fit. And so for a while, we're gonna leave it that way. I do hope eventually I'll be able to up-pot it, but I want it to acclimate and thrive, and we'll see. But I think this is a good size pot for the root system. I think that's an important thing to think about, is when you buy the plants, what you want to do is it's not just the size and shape of the plant, but you know, what does their root system look like, so that you don't put them in a pot that's too big, because a pot that is too big will hold water against those roots and could cause root rot. So that's why this size plant is actually in what I would consider a relatively small pot. This is an Aloe Zanzibar, and this is a very odd plant. I didn't really realize that aloes would grow in this fashion, so it's possible that this is also some sort of a hybrid, but I find it really intriguing. So it's growing up and up, and it's got little you know, babies. I can even see like the edge of a root here. I believe that this plant will need to be repotted, because that root should probably be under the ground, but you can see it, but there's probably tons more. So this plant is really exciting in terms of color. Like the baby one is very stressed and has like blushed colors on it. The slightly older offset is a little less stressed and has more green, and then the center of it, I try not to keep it directly under the light anyway. It's just really intriguing the way it's growing. I expect it to continue to grow up, and I don't know what I'll do. You know, eventually I might cut it and repot it, but what I like to do with the plants is just see what I don't want to make a decision on how it should be before the plant decides what it wants to be. I think that's the most important part of the plant keeping, is that I let them be who they want to be, before I try to impose my will on, you know, what I think they should be. Okay, and then lastly are these aloe in the front. This and this and this are all baby aloe mini bells. When I bought the plant, they were very easy to pull apart. They had their own root systems. I was really new to aloe. Probably if I were to do it again, I would put them in one pot, but I think it's a really good experiment to see, you know, what they think and how they grow. And I mean, they're keeping on. I mean, they're slow, but I do find the aloe mini bell to be a slow grower anyway. Maybe it's called a mini bell because they are small plants. So you'll see I do have the mother plant in the back here, and it's in a pretty big pot, but that was because when I unpotted her to repot her, she had a lot of roots. If I can find that picture, I'll put that in here as well. It was just an incredible amount of roots. I thought it would be okay to give it a new pot. What I'm finding is I'm not getting any more pups off of that plant, and so it's possible that she's just taken a long time to acclimate. That's one thing that succulents tend to do, is that they might not show a lot of upward growth, but there's stuff going on underground that you just don't know about. They're growing roots, they're acclimating, they're becoming. And then next to that is some baby aloe delta lights. One of the interesting things about aloe is, and a lot of succulents, is that the baby versions are called pups. I just think that's such a cute affectation. So these were the smallest pups that I took off of the mother plant, and then we've got the slightly bigger pups, and then the mother plant itself. Now, once again, the mother plant is not giving me any new pups, but she's growing pretty well from the center. She's blushing very prettily. I'm very happy with this plant. And the baby plants are doing well as well, so I have no complaints there. This has been a really good plant for me. And then we have Christmas sleigh pups. Once again, you can see this is a very prolific plant, and this isn't even all the pups that I had. I gave what I consider some of my better ones to a friend so that, you know, she could enjoy them as well. And you can see, based on the size of the pup, I made decisions on what type of pot I was going to put them in. So the very smallest ones are all together, and then bigger and by itself. So, yeah. One of the things I'd like to close with is that I'm sure you can see that this is a new channel for me. I'm really quite an amateur at this. If you could take a moment to like and subscribe, that would really make my day. All of this is just a labor of love for me. I love these plants and I wanted to share them with people. And I hope that you enjoy them as much as I do. And if nothing else, you get a little bit of inspiration to go out and find your own succulents and bring them into your home. If you succeed, wonderful. If you fail, please don't be discouraged. Plants are just an incredible hobby for people who can just give it the time and the patience. Thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your day.